coming to watch Enfield play, I suppose it was the local gang decided one evening in midweek that they were going to go over to Enfield, so I came with them. That must have been in about the late 1950s. And from there it sort of just carried on. I mean, we kept on coming, albeit we couldn't afford to pay all the time, so we nipped in occasionally through the hole in the back fence. But thereafter, I suppose it was a case that we came on a regular basis.
And what's your earliest memory of football?
I suppose, as far as Enfield's concerned, would be about 1959 when Bournemouth came down. We'd had a good cup run that year, and I think that was the year also that we beat Hoddesdon here 15-0. So I suppose it was that particular period where we built up towards the Bournemouth era, as it were.
What's your best football memory and why?
I suppose the best memory would be 1970, the team that won the Amateur Cup in 1970, because that year I think they also won the league and they also won the Middlesex Senior Cup, and as that was the biggest competition in non-league football, I think on that afternoon when we beat Dagenham 5-1, I think you went out of there and thought, well, we're the best team in the country, which from a humble beginnings that I saw, I mean when we didn't even have floodlights and things like that, was really a fantastic achievement by everybody.
What's your worst football memory and why?
I suppose there are a couple. I suppose obviously the tragedy that we had at Highgate United when we had the lightning striking a few of the players up there on the pitch, and ultimately one of them dying. And then when Enfield Town was formed, then we had the problems with Andy Hall's father when he collapsed at the Brimsdown, and he unfortunately passed away as well. So I suppose those two would be up there with them. Also I suppose the Ilkeston away when the game was abandoned because of crowd trouble. That was very frightening.
Why did you choose to support Enfield?
They were local and it was cheaper than going to Tottenham and Arsenal. And I think also that friendships were being formed sort of earlier on, sort of when I sort of came over here, and I think friendships continue. And as a result, despite some of the bad times, results-wise, I think you still come and watch them really because of the friendship and the relationships with your mates, really.
Do you travel a lot to games, and did you enjoy them?
The ones you win, yes. Yes, I think obviously when they went into the conference, then you began to sort of have a whole host of new clubs and new places to go to in the country. And at that time I was single, so the answer was yes, it was pretty good.
What do you think of Enfield today in terms of football and as a place?
Enfield Town or Enfield 1893 or both? Enfield Town I think have been an absolute fantastic success. I mean, I think the people that put all the effort into forming the club, the early managers, the early teams that we had and what they've now achieved here, absolutely fantastic. I think as far as Enfield 1893 is concerned, I think it's a very, very sad thing to happen to such a great club.
And why were you happy to take part in this project?
Because I think that unless people do sort of put down and record their thoughts about the various clubs and achievements it's had, then perhaps it might be lost forever. And I think that would be a sad thing because, as I say, I think I saw them as the best non-league team in the country, which perhaps they'll never achieve again, and it should be remembered.
Dave, did you live in Enfield when you first came to the
Yes,
club?
I did. Yeah.
Have you moved away?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I live in Waltham Abbey now.
Why did you keep coming back?
I think it's a case of loyalty to the club plus the friendships that you've made, and your mates come, so you come. And I think it at times becomes more of a social event than it does watching the football. Because some of the standard of football that we have seen has not been the best ever, but you still keep coming because all your mates are going to be here anyway.
So what does football mean to you?
I'm glad you asked me and not the wife. Yes, it means a great deal, obviously. I mean, it's up there with not as much as the family, the wife, etc., but yeah, it's up there, yeah.
And who was your favourite player?
That, I think, is just an impossible question to answer. There have been so many good ones that I think to try and just pick out one, if you force me, I suppose it would have to be someone like John Payne, who was the heart of Enfield, I thought.
And what's your memories of Southbury Road?
All good, because that's where I first saw the club play, where I saw them play for, getting on for 35, 40 years. So the memories of Southbury Road are good. I mean, had some great nights there and great Saturday afternoons there. Saw some of the best players ever, I suppose, in England to play over there. Very fond memories, and I think it's just sad that I now sit here or come here on a Saturday afternoon and I look perhaps 100 yards away and I can see where the old club used to be. So quite sad to see it's no longer there, as it were.
Do you remember the celebrations of the games that were won in Enfield in 1967 and 70?
Yeah, the parades.
The
parades. Yeah, that's right.
Like?
Absolutely fantastic, because I mean that was a great achievement. I think 67 because it was the first time, but in 1970 even more so because we won it at Wembley, which meant I think so much to everybody. So fantastic days, yeah, really good.
What memories have you got of the Ilkeston game?
Horrible, to be honest. Very, very frightening. It was certainly a case that I think you could see that there was potentially going to be problems brewing throughout the whole game, and I sort of got as close to the main stand as I could, because I thought that if any problem was going to arise I could get out quick or even go into the changing rooms, but very, very frightening.
Was it the atmosphere was like that before?
Yes,
the game
it
started?
was building up throughout, yeah.
Okay.
So you knew that potentially the problem was going to just sort of explode, as it were. Horrible, horrible.
On a nicer subject, what do you remember of the two Barnsley games?
Elation, obviously, when Peter Burton got the equaliser so late, and going to Tottenham, I think people were sort of quite amazed that you were going to leave Enfield to get to Tottenham so early on that particular day. But I think a lot of us realised that it was going to be a very, very popular evening, as it were, for people attending the game. And as a result, I thought it was fantastic. And I think the fact that, yes, we did hit the crossbar before they scored their first goal, it could have changed the whole event. But atmosphere-wise, brilliant, absolutely superb.
Did you have a favourite away ground to go to?
No, not really. I suppose any ground that we won at was quite a favourite of mine, but there are a few I didn't like going to, but no, I didn't really have a favourite one. No.
Anyone you particularly didn't like going to?
I didn't like Scarborough. It was such an awful journey. It was never ending, even by train. They weren't very hospitable up there either, so I suppose Scarborough and Barrow was another one. I didn't like going to Barrow. When I think that was in their last season in the conference, my friend did drive to Barrow and back in a day, and that was absolutely awful. But no.
Do you have any special memories of the coach trips?
Yes, South Shields away. I remember going there in midweek, and for some unknown reason, after the game, which we won, someone decided that we should stop off and get fish and chips on the way back, and that was just outside the ground. And as we were sitting there, a brick came through the window, so that was rather cold coming home. And the other one, I think, was Merthyr Tydfil in the last season in the conference, where we lost 5-1, and the coach broke down just outside Merthyr, and we had to wait for a replacement coach to come up from London. And coming home from Runcorn after we lost 9-0, that was awful as well.
We're having to push the coach around the corner at Merthyr Tydfil in the FA Trophy game when we couldn't turn the corner.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. What did you feel about losing Southbury Road?
Very, very sad. I think that it was our home, and I had great affection for it, obviously, as I say, because that's where I first went to. So I think to see it go in the manner in which it did after all the good times over there, especially I think also you've got to say that we had the Starlight Rooms, which were a tremendous success and brought down some great acts, which certainly the wife and I went to see on more than one occasion. To see that go, I think it was really, really sad, especially in those conditions as well.
Okay. And finally, how did you feel about leaving the old club behind and Enfield Town being formed?
I think mixed, obviously, because Enfield were my team, as it were, but certainly I was beginning to wane with regards to my support. I mean, I think to have so many different home grounds that we were playing at, it seemed ridiculous to sort of say to the wife, well, we're playing St Albans away next week, and then she'd say, well, who are you playing next week? And we're saying, well, we're playing Harrow Borough, but we're also going to St Albans again next week. And I don't think people can get their heads around how, you know, it was sort of very lowering, the fact that we didn't have a home ground. And I think when Enfield Town was formed, I think the effort that went into it and what we've seen come out of it, I think it's been an absolute fantastic achievement by everybody that's put their heart and soul into it. I mean, now to sit here and look at what we've got, I think is absolutely fantastic. And promotion into the Premier, beyond belief, I think.